Hello YouTube, Professor Kadra here. This is Tobacco 202, Cellaring. In Tobacco 201, we discussed storage, your everyday storage. In this course, we're talking about something different, cellaring. Storage is about keeping tobacco fresh. Cellaring is about intentionally keeping tobacco for months, years, or even decades. Sometimes for aging, sometimes for collecting. Sometimes it's just to ensure that a favorite blend remains available in the future. Tobacco, as many new blends as get introduced on a more limited basis anyway, they disappear all the time as well. Many pipe smokers eventually build what we call a cellar. Doesn't necessarily have to be in a cellar. That's just the word that came to be used with it. It's effectively your collection of tobacco. Unfortunately, it's much easier than most people think. So your cellar might be a few jars, it might be a shelf, it could be a cabinet, an entire room. Size doesn't matter. It's the purpose that defines it as a cellar. It's the tobacco that you're intentionally saving rather than immediately smoking. Now, why would you want to cellar tobacco? Different smokers cellar for different reasons. Some enjoy nice aged tobacco. Some cellar because the blend is seasonal or hard to find otherwise, or at risk of discontinuation. Others, they simply like just knowing that they have their supply available. There's no correct reason. There's a lot of reasons why people do it. And one of the reasons is because tobacco sometimes improves with age. Mm-hmm. Many blends age beautifully. Others will change very little. Some might even age poorly. Or at least people will have a preference for those blends fresh rather than it being an objective poor aging.
Do you find that any certain tobacco types age better? Like
Virginia's age fantastic. Vapors age fantastic. Aromatics can age less well, but I haven't had much issue with that really.
Yeah.
We're both looking at aromatic right now. That's about 8 years old, but it's been kept in a tin, so it's maintained its qualities.
It's wonderful.
Yeah.
I find that, like, especially with that, I don't know, with obviously you keep it in a tin or you keep it as airtight as possible, but even just the little bit of air exposure it had going into there, I just feel like some amount of doesn't continuously dry out, but just not being so fresh out of the package, like in a way that makes it smoke better. It makes it smoke more evenly and easily.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Generally speaking, tobaccos that have significant amounts of Virginia, Perique, or if they're pressed tobaccos, these often show the most noticeable aging characteristics. And over time, you might find some deeper, smoother, richer, or more integrated flavors. And that's what you're really looking for with age. So we were talking about, you had asked what blends age particularly well. Virginia blends, vapors, flakes, plugs, crumble cakes, any kind of pressed tobacco. The natural sugars in Virginia are a major reason why they're so common for aging, because that sugar provides fuel for whatever the fermentation is going on with the various bacteria. Some tobaccos are going to change less. Some simply don't change dramatically over time. That doesn't make them bad candidates for cellaring. It just means that they might not change and improve over time, but your cellaring is going to affect their availability.
Sure.
It's also about preserving your ability for future enjoyment, not just about improving that tobacco. For many smokers, mason jars are the standard. They're inexpensive, they're easy to label, they're reliable, they're available. If you're unsure how to cellar tobacco, start with the mason jar. Probably won't have to go anywhere after that.
Where do you get these labels that you...
Those I made. There's cellarlabels.com you can get some stuff from. I don't remember where I found it, but there's a Google Drive that I added, shared Google Drive with a number of images. I used online label designer, I think, or Label Maestro, something like that. You buy a pack of labels, they give you access to their software.
Yep.
You make the labels, print them out, put them on there. You can end up with labels that look pretty nice. Look very much like the tin. Cellarlabels.com. Or onlinelabels.com, and like Label Maestro, I think, is their software. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Where were we? Yeah, so mason jars are just a great place to start. Another great thing for selling are your unopened tins. The factory sealed tins, perfectly suitable.
Yep.
Many smokers will buy, date, and shelve them. You can see here I've got the date written on the bottom of that. Left aside to age. Once it gets opened, then it can transition into a jar if it's not going to be smoked within a reasonable period of time, where I'm concerned about the tobacco being open for a period of time. Fortunately, tobacco is not especially demanding about the environment. You really just need cool temperature, stable temperature, low light,
Right.
and reasonable humidity. You want to avoid direct sunlight, hot attics, garages with temperature swings, things like that. You don't need a wine cellar. You don't need refrigeration. You don't need climate control. It's really more about consistency.
It's interesting how, like, compared to cigars in a humidor, you want somewhere between 65 and 69% humidity, and that's so important. And people just debate to the percentage. But
Yeah.
it's, you just need airtight and indoors, more or less.
Pretty much, yeah. It's not nearly as finicky as a cigar. Cigars tend to want that perfect humidity to really be at their maximal enjoyability. With pipe tobacco, you're controlling that as you dry it out before you pack your bowl. You're going to control it a little bit. I mentioned this in the storage video, but you're going to want to label everything that you're cellaring. Always label the blend at a minimum. I would also recommending the date jarred or purchased, possibly the tin date if that's drastically different. Sometimes they'll have a sticker with the date that the blend was tinned. A few years from now, many jars are going to start to look surprisingly similar, and the you from the future is going to be grateful that you decided to label those last. Don't overcomplicate it either. One of the biggest mistakes beginners make is assuming cellaring is this highly technical thing. It isn't. Good tobacco, good container, stable environment. That's really the equation. The hardest part of cellaring is just waiting long enough to open the jar and smoke it.
Yeah.
So yeah, just some final thoughts. A tobacco cellar, it can be practical, enjoyable, rewarding. Whether you're storing it for 6 months or 20 years, it's simple. Just keep it away from excessive heat, excessive light, keep it sealed, and be patient.
What was the longest aged tobacco you've ever smoked?
Oh man. Well, if you count those cigarettes that we had at the
Sure. Yeah.
probably in the neighborhood of about a decade.
Yeah.
About a decade.
And have you found tobacco that you've aged for a substantial amount of time versus tried brand new to be significantly different?
Yeah. I have, particularly with Virginias. I like those a lot, so I have a lot of those. So I'm likely gonna be experiencing that with them. But even with aromatics, I find them, it's nice to age them a little bit, get some nice age on the component tobaccos. All right, thanks for watching.